these trainer cards will explode in value. Owners Pokemon are officially returning to the Pokemon TCG in the latest set Journey Together, and with it, certain trainer cards from previous generations are primely positioned to experience massive growth. In today's video, we're taking a look at Black Border Trainer Galleries, a special subset of trainer cards included in the second half of the Sword and Shield era. These cards feature popular partner duos from the anime and Nintendo video games, which tap into strong connections fans have to the Pokemon universe. Not only that, but something unique to Black Border Trainer Galleries that can't be found in Yellow Borders is the texture, which elevates and mesmerizes anyone seeing these cards in person. So with that being said, let's take a look at the top 15 Black Border Trainer Galleries you need to know about before they explode. Before we take a look at some of these cards, I want to let you all know about Sleeved, the sponsor of today's video. Sleeved is a Discord server dedicated to helping collectors and investors acquire Pokemon products. You'll receive real-time restock alerts with their comprehensive monitoring system. Say you're looking to pick up some sealed prismatic evolutions. You can take a look at their Discord channel with the same name and you'll see various retailer restock alerts in time. You can also see notifications for specific stores, and they even have investment chats to engage with the community. The best part is, it's free. So check out the link in the description if you're interested. Back to the video. This is going to be card number 15, an absolutely stunning one. It was actually my first Galarian Gallery I ever pulled from my Astral Radiance booster box. Absolutely stunning, and I really love the fact that you have the female character from the Sword and Shield game in the background, and of course I'd say the best Galarian version of the original bird legendary. So really cool. I love the black and red duo. And if we take a look at the price of this card, we see, and this is going to be a general trend I want to mention, that we're going to see that there was this huge spike during May. The cards came back down and then have recently been gaining a lot of steam. So $7.59, and this card has been growing all the way up to $18.43. That's 144% growth. Now if we take a look at the price difference from its high in May, it was going for $14.28, and now it's really about a $4 gain from that high. It has shown that sort of interest and desire in the past, even before the hype, which struck about, I would say, October. That was when a lot of cards started moving. I'd say October is a pretty good gauge of when things start to move a lot for a lot of cards. So since we saw that jump a little bit earlier, there's a chance that this is genuinely an intrinsic valuation of this card. Taking a look at recent sales, we see it's been going for $16.98, $15, $17, $16, about $17 actually, $17. So it's going a little under market value. Could be that this card could experience a tiny drop in value. So we see this card had that little drop in value, and it could drop a little bit more. If you can get it for around 16, I'd say this is a pretty good deal. Next up, we have the Blaziken V, and I love this card because May is one of the main characters from Generation 3, one of Ash's traveling companions, and her actual partner Pokemon was Torchic, which eventually evolves into Combusken, and then in the final few episodes we get to see her with her Blaziken. Fantastic episode, and really pulls at the nostalgia. A card that I would definitely pick up over a lot of the owners Pokemon I've seen in some of the recent sets. For me, I don't really have a big attachment to Iono's Bellibolt, something like En's Zoroark. There isn't really that connection happening, whereas for this one it's really there. Really vibrant and beautiful artwork. If we take a look, it was going for $8.48, jumped a little bit, went for $15, $16 to $15. It went down again to $8, and then now it had this humongous climb to $27, came back down a little bit recently to $23. Taking a look at recent sales, we have $23, $24, $23, going down $23. So seems to be going for market value right now. Almost, it's probably going to plateau, honestly, at this point. But this is a beautiful card, and honestly, I have no doubt that the owner's cards are going to be debuting at pretty crazy prices, even after pre-release. And if that's the case, honestly, these cards, I would say, not only hold a candle, but are up there with the owner's Pokemon from Rival Destinies and Heatwave Arenas. Next up, we have Zacian V, and this is actually really fun because this is a card that's pretty much directly from the game. We have this moment where the main character and Hop are sort of trying to prevent a huge disaster from occurring in the Galar region, and so as a result, Hop and your main character will head over to this ancient shrine where you find the ancient sword and shield, and basically when you give it to Zacian and Zamazenta, they become these fancier versions of themselves. Zacian giving back the sword to Hop in this moment, really cool. I definitely like this one more than the Journey Together Zacian because of the storyline that's attached to it, and I really like the ethereal effect in this. I don't really like how Hop is illustrated in the Journey Together one. one, but that one does have some good vibrance, but definitely that's going to be very, very expensive, at least starting off, and I think that this one is definitely better. Next up we have the Blaziken VMAX, and now this is basically a trend we're going to be seeing. A lot of the trainer galleries, black borders, they have V and then V Max variants, not all of them, but some of them. And so this is a really, really fun one because Blaziken in its Dynamax form. For all of you who don't know, there's a difference between Dynamax and Gigantamax. Dynamax means that the Pokemon is pretty much looking the same, but it's just a jumbo version of itself. Gigantamax means that it actually sort of changes the way it looks. A good example of this is sort of the Pikachu or even the Charizard that we saw for like VMAX versions, where they look a little bit different. Charizard with like fire wings, and then Pikachu just looking a lot chubbier and a huge tail, right? So this is a regular one. I wish it had a Gigantamax version. And we see May sort of hanging on for dear life as they're like making huge jumps across the Galar region. We know this is Galar because they're actual power spots. These pink sort of lights that are emitting from the ground, those signify power spots, and those are unique to Galar, so it's pretty sweet to see that in pretty much every single VMAX card. This card too has had tremendous gains, and this is pretty much the way it's been going. 163% over the past year. Card was going for at its high in May at $20.90. Back down to $8. Crazy that this was going for pretty much the V's price, and now jumped all the way up to $28, and it's currently going for $25. If I'm being honest, I genuinely like the V artwork much more because it's more crisp, a lot more color. Take that for long term over this one. Next we have the Mimikyu VMAX, and this one is going for substantially less than the V. It's because the V has had quite an interesting jump recently. I don't think it's going to last, but we'll take a look at that when we get there. Again, we have those VMAX Dungeon or power spots sort of emitting. Back there we have Mimikyu and Acerola, again a iconic duo, or at least a duo from the Sun and Moon era. If we take a look over the past year, went from $13 up to $25, went down to $15, up to $41, and is now going for $37.99. Recent sales show $37, $36, $37, $37, even a $48.99. Since there's no image attached, that's a really bizarre thing to happen. If you're in person, you know, there's definitely the fact that you pay a premium because you have a chance to get a PSA 10 where you're really cooking and getting a good profit at that point. PSA 10s are really hard to get naturally, but a lot of people sort of diligently attempt to get gem mint cards or copies so that they can try and get a substantial profit. That could be the case, but again, I don't see how that's really possible without images at this point. Next up, we have the Sylveon V. I really, really love this card. I'm so happy to say I finally got it for my collection. It was really, really annoying because it was the final evolution. I needed to get all the trainer gallery evolutions. Like, I had all the yellow borders. I had all the other variants in the black border. This was the only one missing. Finally got it. Really, really cool because Valerie is actually the 6th Kalos gym leader that Ash takes on, and she actually uses a Sylveon in that battle, so it's pretty sweet. If anyone watched the X and Y era, and that's literally the best era for the anime. As you can see, this card was going for $13, which is absolutely crazy. Went up to $28, dropped back down, was going for $17, went up to $47, and now it's going for $44. So this card is definitely being moved up with these few sales. We'll have to see how it goes. Alongside the Sylveon, you know, same deal. I actually really, really love the V because it has this unique way of having this really vibrant aesthetic, despite it being mostly shades and light sort of toned down yellow on this card. Pretty cool. Going for a pretty solid deal in my opinion. $45, pretty good for Umbreon. $15, it was going up all the way to $50. So you can see this one has actually not surpassed its peak as of the current market value. So it went down all the way to $18. Climbed up to 57 and is now going for 45. This is definitely one of the best cards you could get from the Sword and Shield era for the price it's going for right now. Finally, at a Pikachu. Now this one is a pretty cool one because Red is a popular character for one that wasn't really explored as much because he's not featured in the mainstream anime. Instead, he's featured in a few of the video games, the Nintendo games, and he's also featured in the Pokemon Origin special series from the X and Y era. Looks like they're on a journey. Red sort of trying to figure out where to go. I really like the pine wood and the sort of nice night sky up there, and then Pikachu's really well done in this card. As we can see, this one was going for 22, went up to 32, down to about 24, up again to 55, and now it's currently going for 47. Now we're at the VMAX Sylveon, and both so beautiful in different ways. The VMAX Sylveon and the V Sylveon have a different sort of style. The V is more crisp and clean. The VMAX is a little bit more magical in the way it looks because of the way the flower petals are sort of flying around We have the pinks and blues, a little bit of blurring from the glow that's happening in the background. And of course we have Valerie again, really beautiful one. And of course there's the Evolving Skies version to this card. And honestly, this is going for a fraction of the price. This one I genuinely like the V over the VMAX. We have a little Gengar in the background. Have this shadow Mimikyu. Airsorolola looks pretty terrified by whatever's happening on the TV. And if we take a look at this one, it was pretty dramatic, going for 11 to 28, came back down to 14. Then we see a spike up to 34, and then a humongous spike, taking it up to $62.92. Currently, we do see some sales going for under market value, 46. We have a 61, 63, which are going above. Again, 57, 54, 54. I would honestly avoid this card because there's a genuine, probability that this was just buyouts and this card is going to drop. These cards are definitely prone to dropping down. I'm not saying these are great cards. This one's definitely one to keep an eye out for in the future and let this one sort of recorrect. VMAX Pikachu now, and as you see, we have the chunky Pikachu. So it's Gigantamax. It has a different style. Its tail is literally popping up all the way across and to the top of the card. This card has been going from $30 up to $48, down to $30, and now it's all the way up to $63. Really, really beautiful one. Now the Rayquaza is actually an interesting one because it doesn't have a V version, and I was really, really surprised by this. I mean, we do have the V Alt Art and the V Max Alt Art from Evolving Sky, so I thought naturally we would have a V. I guess not. I do like the fact that we can see Rayquaza really big in the card, right? It's not like the trainer sort of making a huge appearance in the card. It actually kind of adds to the adventurous look. I like the way the purples are colliding with the reds, giving this almost dystopia effect, which is pretty cool. And then looking at this one's price, this one's been up there a little bit longer. It's going for 30, up to 52, down to 30, and then again it did have one of those spikes going to 79. Because they were so dramatically undervalued, there is a potential that they won't drop as dramatically from these highs, but there is definitely, I don't think they will necessarily not drop at least a little bit more from this point. Finally, Umbreon VMAX, and this one is a no-brainer in my opinion for like the collection, especially. I mean, I'm saying this before this huge jump. I personally picked it up when it was going for around this price point over here, about 40 USD, because I mean the Moonbreon is absolutely insanely expensive, and there is no other Dynamax version of Umbreon that you can really get in a substantial way. I mean, you can get rainbows and stuff, but not everyone's into those. Photorealistic cards are really what it's about, and I love the fact that we have one of these in a more affordable range. Obviously, this one is more expensive now. It went from 21 up to 60, was going for about $34, went up to 83 and is now going for 78. Recent sales show this card sort of all over the place. The sales, they're going from like low 70 to mid 70 to high 70, and then this one dramatic one up there. So yeah, basically this card honestly is probably just going to keep going up, as we have seen with the tag team Umbreon Darkrai, which has been going crazy recently, as with a lot of tag team promos. Next up, we have Garchomp V. I think this one's going to do particularly well because of the Cynthia's Garchomp that's going to be coming in Destined Rivals. This card was going for $45 during its high in May, down to $25, and up all the way to $79. I know it's really crazy, but definitely my favorite duo of all time from the anime, and I think that holds true for a lot of people. Really made Garchomp a super popular Pokemon on its own. And finally, we got perhaps one of the most beloved characters of all time from the anime, Misty, from the original series, right? Ash, Brock, Misty, everyone knows that those three were the first to travel around, really set the anime and Pokemon where it is today. And again, another really, really cool iconic duo, her and her Starmie. I mean, she has a lot. She has the Psyduck, her Gyarados, her Starmie. So it really works, you have a lot to work with Misty. But I like the way this card is super crisp, kind of like the Sylveon V, but even thinner lines, which is amazing to see how well this card just works. And the top-down view is so unique. We see this card went from 39 up to 67, plummeted again, $45, and now it's going for 107. That's been up there. It's always been jumping between the top three cards in value. Most of the time it's been sitting at one, so it's not a surprise to see this card going up more so than the others, and naturally this is probably going to hold the test of time. And as we still have some Misty cards coming out in destined rivals, particularly the Misty Psyduck, which everyone is going crazy over. There's a chance that people will want to start collecting these sort of owners Pokemon, going back, getting, although this is not owners Pokemon technically, you get the same vibe off of it, and for collectors, really, there's really not a big difference except for the fact that we just don't see Misty apostrophe S before the card, right? So people want to go back, there's the Misty Gyarados, everything. Those are going to accumulate. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed today's video. I really wanted to take a look and talk about Black Border Trainer Galleries. There's so much potential that lays hidden within these cards, and I genuinely think that over the long term, 3-4 years down the line, these are going to be really sought after. Keep your eyes out for them. Let them sort of plateau and come down a little bit from their dramatic jumps. You can find good deals for them. Definitely keep an eye out. Primarily, try and get good copies of them as well, because over the long term, you might want to, consider grading them. If you can get a 10 for any of these, that's always a bonus right there. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you on the next one.